I started.
Okay. So this is a bike rack that I made with my son, and the design is based on a picture that I saw on the Family Handyman website. And the idea is that I didn't want to attach a bunch of bikes to the wall. I wanted to have something that I could kind of move around and reposition as I do other stuff in the garage. So I don't know if you want to come in a little closer, and you can see the whole thing is on wheels. I have these caster wheels that I don't remember the exact weight that they carry, but it seemed like it was more than enough. And so the rack holds 5 bikes, and it works pretty much like hanging a bike just up on the wall. That's stuck on something. And so a couple of things, I wasn't sure exactly what distance I should make it between the top hooks and where the wheels come down to the bottom and how far the bikes would actually reach, since the bikes are kind of all different sizes. So, so I did kind of like an estimate based on like where I thought the bikes would be and how far down they would come. But originally, I wasn't planning on having the hooks on the top angled. I ended up angling them just because there's a lot of sort of downward force. There's a lot of downward force that the bike creates, and so it ends up sort of pulling the hook down if you don't angle it. This way, the most of the force is kind of coming at the same angle that it's screwed into the wood. And so that ended up making the bikes a little bit lower than I originally planned, so I had to kind of adjust everything down a little bit. And then some other things that I kind of ran into after my first attempt. On the side, you can see I put a little bit extra length just to make sure that it didn't tip backwards. But then when I put the wheels on, I ended up putting the wheel on right down below here, and then I realized that like it didn't really make sense to have this extra length without the wheel being there if the wheel was in the wrong spot. And I kind of felt that right away when I tried to roll it the first time and almost tipped over. So I had to adjust the position of the back wheels, and then it was a little bit too wide for just the 2x4s. So I had to basically laminate on this little piece of half-inch plywood onto the 2x4, and then I was able to screw it in. Then it fit perfectly with between the 2x4 and the half-inch piece. So it's like they're 2 inches wide, I guess. The other thing is that when I first, so I put this 2x4 across the back to sort of reduce the amount of flexibility that the plywood had, but then also something deeper than just the half-inch plywood to screw the hooks into. And what I didn't think about is like all of the sort of like torque, or I don't know, all the pressure that's on it started bending the half-inch plywood before I had these pieces on. So I added these pieces on afterwards after I realized that I almost broke the half-inch plywood because the weight of 3 bicycles, or 4, I guess just, yeah, only 3 are on the top one. So so it almost cracked off the whole thing. And then the other things I did is I added on some other hooks and stuff. I had this extra like in my garage that was attached to the wall, and so I took it off the wall and I put it on here because it seemed to work well for random bikes related stuff. Okay, and I think that's it. Oh, and then I coated the whole thing with an outdoor kind of weatherproofing coating. I used this stuff, this bare waterproofing wood finish.
You gotta ask for sponsorship, Dad.
Yeah. But what I don't like about it is that it's kind of sticky. I kind of like the color, but also like I can still see the pencil marks on there from when we were building it, and it's kind of a mess. But
Never mind. Don't ask for sponsors.
most of the mess is because of my poor application techniques, but I think this stuff is probably fine, except that I'm not sure why it's so sticky. It's because of I don't know if it's because of like the humidity that was in my garage when I was applying it, or poor application technique, or what it was. But anyway, it at least hopefully will make it last a little bit longer than if it didn't have any type of coating on it. And this piece down here I had added afterwards, after doing all the coating, because you can see it's just an extra 2x4 that I had laying around for a while. It's pretty well aged, but it not only positions this thing from swinging so much, the scooter, it also gives a little bit of rigidity to the lower half-inch plywood, so that the weight of the bottom of the bicycles doesn't bend it inward too much. So that's it. So my son helped me with most of it, and except for all the pieces, he was done once we had put the basic frame together. He was done with the project. Took his pictures and left, and then left me to do most of the coding and all of the painting of it, and doing all the adjustments that I realized that all the mistakes that we made in the beginning.
All right, now you gotta have like a catchphrase.
Oh. I don't know, catchphrase. You can stop it.
Oh, okay.